Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. So tonight we're basically picking up where the last video left off. If you remember the last video, we installed our turbo, our intercooler piping, all that kind of jazz, and kind of got hung up on our battery box. So as you can see right here, I have our battery box. There were two little tongs on here that stuck out so you could like basically set it on the frame and weld it in. Well, I cut those off because we're going to mount that battery box right here. My original plan was down under here, as you can see from the grinding. Wasn't going to work because this was in the way. Well, we're going to take care of that. We're just going to slice this thing down. This is one of our bed mounts. Really, the bed's just there for appearance sake, so we don't have to really worry about this holding a lot of load. But there's weld up top on both sides here, plus this strap down the bottom. So that's more than enough for what we need the bed for. We're going to put the battery here. The reason is we have to put a battery cutoff switch on it, and I just want it on the driver's side. Just kind of a personal preference thing. I want it over here. Also, I wanted the battery a little further forward, cut down on the amount of wire we were using, just try and save that little bit of weight. Yeah, it might be a couple pounds, but every ounce counts and it adds up. So after that, we have another install we're doing. Basically, this is going to be just like a mounting and installation. Well, it's not even installation. It's all mounting. We're just mounting stuff tonight so we can get an idea of future things we have to do. But the other future thing we have to do is plumb our fuel system. So as you guys know, we previously ran an Airdog back here. We had the Airdog 165, I think it is, which worked great. It was flawless for us. But we have since transitioned with the new Freedom Racing Engine's engine to a Waterman pump. The Waterman pump is a gear-driven mechanical fuel pump. The only reason I really went with that is so we didn't have all that plumbing going backward. Yes, we're going to still have a feed and return coming up. Well, I guess we're not really eliminating any plumbing, but basically I wanted to have less wires. I wanted to make it more simple, or more simplistic is probably the better way to say that. So I wanted to just be simpler, and honestly, like having the belts on here, eventually I want to get rid of those. It won't be anytime soon, but anyway, back to the fuel. So I wanted something simpler, and that's why we have the Waterman. Well, that provides the issue of what do you do for your fuel filtration, because you don't want your brand new S&S 12mm CP3 pumps, 500% over special injectors. You don't want that stuff just eating raw fuel. You want to have some filtration. Well, good thing for us, the guys at Airdog have a solution for that. So we got from the guys at Airdog this Airdog Champ. So as you can see here, it's a high pressure fuel air separation system. So not only is this a filter setup, it also is a fuel air separator. So we'll be sending pure fuel to our injection pumps and our injectors, just like our Airdog did. So basically this little fuel setup they have with this massive filter has a couple gauge ports, has a fuel in and a fuel out, and then your air return. So we can tie our air return into our return from the rail and our CP3 pumps. This has a check valve in it, so we don't have to worry about any, kind of backflow or anything. So we have our air separation and our fuel filtration from Airdog. There's a bunch of people who run this setup and it works. We don't have to worry about having too small a filter and whatnot. I mean, look at this thing. It's quite beefy. This is actually for more of a like a semi type setup, like a big rig, a Peterbilt, a Kenworth, something like that, for them to have some air separation and fuel filtration. But we're going to be running it on our setup. They have these nice brackets. As you can see, I made a plate so we can weld that in for where we're going to put it. But they have these nice brackets which you can flip upside down and mount the other way, however you want. But yeah, nice setup from them. Thanks to the guys at Airdog. That thing's going to work out great. So we make sure we protect the investment of our fuel setup. So we're also going to be installing this Airdog Champ. Another thing to note, I did change out these fittings right here to a -10 size fitting. The ones that come with the Airdog Champ are actually like a -8. Nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that from our fuel cell to our distribution block down here, right there, our fleece fuel distribution block. Everything else is like a 10 AN size, so I just wanted to keep it consistent. So I just got new fittings for that. Anyway, guys, that's kind of where we're going to start. We're going to see where we get. If everything goes well, we got a couple more things we can put on the truck, get on our way so we can keep looking at these things. Really getting the battery box in, starting to get our wiring kind of figured out. That's going to be a big step because the wiring, it's going to be a bear, I'm sure. So our All-Star battery box is installed. Just have it kind of welded in on all the sides. Here's our little clamp. It's good to go. It actually will hold me, so we have no problems there. My camera fell off the tripod while I was doing it, and then it said like stuff was corrupted, so we might not have footage of me installing that, but just cutting, grinding, welding. Pretty much, well, what this entire project has been. So that's in. Also, we have our Airdog Champ filter installed here. Like I said, I had made a plate, welded that to this body mount bracket. Everything's looking good. Really, there's not a great place to put this thing. As I was saying, I was kind of thinking about up here, you know, all over the place, but this is where I decided. It won't hit the tire. These tires are smaller than our drag setup, but our drag setup does stick out further, so I don't think it'll be an issue. We'll just, you know, I got to figure out all the fittings and all, but now that it is in place, I can do that and get our fuel system plumbed. But yeah, that thing's in there looking good. That is definitely a high quality piece. Yeah, looking here from the top, doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. I don't know how noticeable it'll be when you walk up to the truck, but oh well, it's in, it's something we need. And big shout out to the guys at Airdog. That thing is awesome. Yeah, definitely got to filter that fuel. We don't want any crap going into the fuel system we got here because, well, yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna move on. We got a couple more installs. First one's right here. As you can see, we have a ratchet shifter. So we're going with a ratchet shifter now. Now you might be wondering, what about the anteater, all that? Well, we're going to use both. So in order to try and keep our transmission alive, really the truck needs to be started in manual first. Now when I say manual first, that's like when you grab your gear lever in like a 3rd gen truck with a 48 RE and you bring it all the way down. That's manual first. So that will actually be on this shifter all the way back. So what that does is that applies the rear band to the hub or sprag. I'm not 100% sure what the correct terminology is, but it applies the rear band, which will save the back of the case and that rear sprag. If you guys remember when we had our little friendly race with Mr. Greg A, he destroyed his transmission. That's exactly what he did, was destroy that sprag and break his case. So having this in manual first will help us do that. So then all we need to do is bump it up into drive and then let the anteater take over from there. So basically we're going to launch the truck, run this thing up to drive, and then let the anteater do what it does. Also, my mount I made is a bolt-in setup because I want to make sure I am comfortable with where I have this thing placed in the truck. And I already have nut zerks in there for it. I want to make sure that it's good and I'm comfortable with it before I weld anything else to the cage. It's a lot easier to unbolt this than weld and grind and change it over again. Plus, I can always take this out, modify it if I want to move it, see what I like. And our other last install of the night is going to be our nitrous bottle from Nitrous Outlet. So the nitrous bottle actually has to be mounted a few different ways. I didn't know this. Apparently there's a siphon tube in here. Really, like, guys, I am dumb when it comes to nitrous. All I know is that's like a turbo in a bottle for us diesel guys. But there's a siphon tube in there, so it needs to be either mounted like that on the brackets, or if you stand it up, the label needs to be facing forward, so when you launch the truck, all the liquid nitrous would be at the rear of the bottle and at the bottom when it's standing up, so on and so forth. I'm going to mount it there. It's nice and level location on the truck. It's easy to get to and all that. So I made a couple little metal brackets to go here with our Nitrous Express cheap little brackets here. Eventually we'll probably change them out because they're just kind of chintzy. But it's just kind of like a do-it-yourself kit or whatever, which we will go over when we go into the nitrous system. So let's get these two things installed and call it a night. So guys, we got a ratchet shifter installed. I'll go over that in a second. I was going to install our nitrous bottle. I got over here, I was going to start cleaning up the frame, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know how I feel with it being right next to the tire. I don't like it. If something were to ever happen, yeah, bad stuff. I mean, the bottle would go that way, but I still don't like it. I think what I'm going to do is actually kind of make a different bracket so we have the same kind of rake as it is currently, because it's kind of how they suggest you to do it. I thought about putting it on the bar here. You see a lot of guys do that. I don't know if that's right or wrong, because basically they tell you to mount it like this, like we were talking about earlier, normally. But if you're going to stand it straight up to face it this way, so all the liquid nitrous goes to the back when you launch, well, when you put it on a 45-degree bar, which that is 45 degrees, what do? Because you're kind of in the middle there. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is fashion another mount down here to get this same angle. What I'll probably do is run like a piece of flat bar. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I didn't like that being right next to the tire. So we're going to move it up right behind the cab, because I also don't want it in the cab of the truck for kind of the same reason. If something were to ever happen, it's just bad stuff could happen. That's my thought. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but hey, better safe than sorry, right? So anyway, we got our ratchet shifter installed. Now I say installed, it is mounted. Obviously nothing's run because we don't have our transmission in, but this is a B&M, I think it's a stealth grip or something they call it, because it's black, but it's their kind of standard one that everybody uses. So like I said, we're going to use this so we can start the truck in manual first. So we're in park right now. That would be reverse. If we go all the back, we're in manual first, second. Now we're in drive. And then, at that point, we let the anteater take over. If you had a full manual valve body, then you'd be flipping your switches for converter lock and overdrive. But we're not going to need that. We have the anteater. But then you push it forward. You have neutral. You pull this reverse. Now you're in reverse. That's what, you know, it really makes it so you can't go in reverse by accident, which is a very good thing. And then park once again. But for our setup, we can go all the way into manual first. I can grab this, and when we launch the truck, now we're in drive. So then the anteater will take over. I think it'll be perfect for our setup. I like our bolt-in mount. It feels good sitting here where it's at, but we will find out when we start drag racing if it is, you know, conductive to what we're doing. That's all. I want to make sure it's in the right spot. So guys, kind of in summary, we got our battery box installed, so that way we can get our battery hung. We can start running that. We can hang our battery shutoff switch because our battery is not in the engine compartment in the factory location. We need a shutoff switch, and I wanted that on the driver's side, just my personal preference. But we can run that, get all our lines made up to the starter, to our computer, all that kind of stuff, our neutrals or grounds. Also, we got our Airdog Champ installed, looking good. I got my fittings kind of planned out for that. Hopefully we get that in the first shot, but you never know, might put it in and not like how things are ran. Also, we got our B&M ratchet shifter installed to help us save that transmission, because everybody knows when you're trying to push 2,000 horsepower through a 48 RE, you need all the help you can get. And our nitrous bottle, we need to come up with a different kind of mount. I thought I had a good game plan, and after I got looking at it, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but maybe I'm not. But better safe than sorry, so we're going to move that thing forward a little more. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. We're making progress on the race truck. I got more things to think about, especially the wiring. That's going to be quite the bear. Anyway, guys, get out in your garage, get the wrench in on your truck.